The Racing Pod
on Off the Ball
with William Hill. Best odds guaranteed on all Irish and UK racing. 18 plus. See gamblingcare.ie.
And you are welcome to episode 34 of the Racing Pod on Off the Ball. John Duggan with you. Remember, we're here every week with analysis, race previews, tips, interviews, stories, and the crack. The first half of the pod each week is free to air. The second part exclusively for members. So be sure to sign up by going to offtheball.com/join. And this week for members, we'll focus on Sunday's action at the Curragh. So subscribe now. Johnny Ward taking a break this week, a well-deserved rest. So we're delighted to have him on the line. Thom Malone of AgriComms, the Irish Field, and the MC extraordinaire that is Thom. How are you, Thom?
Yeah, very good, John. And you?
Yeah, good, Thom. Hurling final weekend. Oaks on Saturday at the Curragh. Bit of golf. Shane Lowry doing well. Couldn't be happier at the moment. How's your summer been? What have you kind of taken from the summer on the flat? I mean, have you been going to many meetings? Have you been taken by any horses?
Yeah, no, it's been great. Obviously, I'm at the Curragh kind of every week, so I've seen all of that and been we're following it very closely. Absolutely, I think I was on last week and got the July Cup a little bit wrong. Maybe those 3-year-olds are not as hot as we thought they were. I'm still very much a City of Troy fan. I've seen there are plenty of doubters out there. I think the horse has done absolutely nothing wrong since his yes, obviously he flopped in 2000 guineas. Still a big fan of Falling Angel. Think she could be the top 3-year-old filly this year. Again, another horse who flopped at Newmarket but bounced back at the Curragh last time out. And I'm really looking forward to this weekend. John, as you mentioned, we've plenty of other sport on, but I've worked at the Curragh kind of on and off for about the last 10 years at this stage. And Oaks weekend is just always one of my favourites. The Irish Oaks, I think, delivers as a race better than kind of other races at the time. Just the timing of it is perfect, and it's all, well, you definitely don't want to bank on the weather in Ireland this summer, but it's generally a nice weekend. And it's a nice, relaxed atmosphere. It's top quality racing. I'm really looking forward to the second half of the season. I feel like the first half has been quite good. Enjoyed Royal Ascot. Thought it was nice and varied. Again, still a big City of Troy fan. I just think the season's really going to kick on now once we get through Galway and Goodwood, and that'll really sort things out.
Where do you think City of Troy will end up in terms of his 3-year-old career? Like, would he end up winning a dirt race? I think the plan is the Breeders' Cup Classic, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's certainly the dream. I don't really see why they need to go too crazy. I mean, there's a kind of a well-trodden path there. They go to York next, take in the Judgment International and try. I don't think he'll go for an arc. I don't see why they shouldn't go for an arc. But by the looks of things, with that justifying his pedigree, they're mad to get him on dirt. And look, with the success of Auguste Rodin last year and the turf and the way he ran, they are going to head down that route and really make a play for the Breeders' Cup. It's the one omission on Aidan O'Brien's CV, really, that he's never won a Breeders' Cup Classic. It's a very difficult race to win, especially with a European horse, particularly with the kind of, the regulations and the way horses are going to go over there and the medication they can and can't take and the benefits that will have for other horses over him throughout the season. So, look, it's a huge ask for any European horse to go and win at the Breeders' Cup. Like a lot of big racing festivals, look, the Breeders' Cup is diluted. There's no doubt about that now, but still the Breeders' Cup Classic is the absolute pinnacle of that dirt racing season. And it looks like City of Troy could take it, but it'd just be such a huge ask. And if he does do it, fair play to him, because it would be a phenomenal achievement. But like I said, I'm very happy with how the horse has run since the Guineas. I was happy with him when he won at Sandown. He'll obviously go to York next. Hopefully we'll see him at Leopardstown for Champion Stakes. It's very much that See the Stars route. And then it's the decision after that, whether they try and go to Paris or like you say, it looks very much like they will head to, they will head to stateside with him. I would imagine you're going to look at taking in a practice race in the interim. You're not just going to go from that, big long turf season and then go straight on to dirt without a run. So I would imagine that will not see him go to Longchamp. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Irish Derby winner, actually, Los Angeles, heads to Longchamp. Aidan seemed to talk down a St. Ledger bid with him, even though he's just a lovely, big, strong horse, kind of suggested he might be a little too classy St. Ledger. But I don't know. Look,
Yeah.
they've gone to the Arc with Stayers in the past as well. So I'm still excited about City of Troy.
Okay, a couple of stories this week. First of all, there's going to be a 6-part behind-the-scenes documentary on the sport in the UK. It starts on ITV1 tonight, called Full Gallop. Paul Nicholls has been involved in it. We've had similar fly-in-the-wall documentaries here. I do remember Jump Boys was one I do remember about the Irish jump jockeys. But look, these behind-the-scenes things, I think we can do with as many of them in racing as we can, because sometimes the sport gets bad PR, and this could be good PR.
Yeah, it could be, and did a really glitzy premiere in London during the week. And Harry Cobden and Paul Nicholls are they're getting incredible cut through on the kind of chat circuit. They're with Dermot O'Leary. They're with our very own Dave Moore earlier on today as well. It's good. All of these, for me, horse racing is all about the animal and the excitement and the thrill of it, and anything that can bring punters and potential customers and people who are not familiar with the sport closer to that and closer to the connection they have, horse people have with their animals, I think is a good thing. And, once that's a story has been told, which I'm sure it is, look, it's on ITV, it's on, British prime time. It's certainly not going to be edgy in any way. It's going to be a very sanitized, you would imagine, version of things. But, it will show the heartache and stuff like that. But, I think it's a very good thing, and intriguing to see what sort of comes from it. But look, that's a benefit to having the sport on terrestrial television. It's a benefit to having it on ITV, when you can go and pull the strings and pull in all the the big names from other shows and get them involved, and you see them at Royal Ascot and all the the hoi polloi from ITV, and they all go. So it's not just sheer connection and that power of television, that power of terrestrial television, which, I mean, sport can never take for granted. John, you see it with so many other sports, and once you lose space on terrestrial TV, it's very difficult to get the people back once that goes.
One negative story for the image of the sport this week was the case of Tony Martin. So the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board extended his ban for breaking anti-doping rules from 3 months to 5 months, after he was found by a referrals committee to have engaged in conduct which was seen to be undermining regulatory authority and damaging the reputation of the horse racing industry, in that once his licence was withdrawn, he continued to act in his capacity as a trainer despite the revocation of his licence. So he appeared at the winners' enclosure at Newcastle last month, where the horse trained by his sister in her name, Cathy O'Leary, the horse called Alphonse Legrand, won the Northumberland Vase. Jockey Holly Doyle said that Martin had given her riding instructions. He said it was not his intention to flout his suspension, and he greatly regretted how the whole situation unfolded. So he's now banned until October. What is your reading of the situation, Tom?
Doesn't look good for anyone, really, John, does it? Whether the rules Martin broke, it's very difficult to kind of prove. But I think the problem here in the first place is the ban he was given was probably, not that it was too lenient, but it just seems to be a little bit loose in that, if Tony Martin is banned from being a trainer, why isn't he banned from the track? Why isn't he banned explicitly from being in the winner's enclosure? Why, if the horses that were in his name, they've now been trained by his sister in the same premises and the same staff, or have maintained their jobs. I feel like the issue here is that the circumstances surrounding the ban and the wording of the ban in the first place is too loose, and it's probably something that comes from the situation we had at Gordon Elliott a couple of years ago, to make sure that the enormous amount of staff in Gordon Elliott's operation, didn't lose their jobs. And they said, well, we'll create a situation whereby another person can take over the license, and therefore, the owners don't have to find new homes for the horses, and overnight 150 or whatever people don't lose their jobs. So the reason for creating these sort of bans that we've seen in Irish horse racing comes from a good place. It comes from people not losing their jobs. No one wants that. But does it need to be a little bit tighter? Does it need to be a little bit stronger? And it looks like with Tony Martin here, because his ban is essentially for bringing the sport into disrepute. It's, if he'd actually broken the terms of his ban, he would have gotten a much longer ban. he would have gone, his suspended sentence and his initial fine would have kicked in. So, for me, what Tony Martin has done is wrong. He's paying the price for that. But what his actions have done since, unfortunately, it feels like just how things are worded in the ban are just a little bit loose. And, that's probably just a situation where things just need to be a little bit tighter on that from the regulatory point of view.
Okay, well, racing is a sport that is in receipt of millions of taxpayer money in this country from the state, so it can't afford bad PR, and hopefully lessons learned. And to be fair to Tony Martin, in his defence, he's held his hands up and was contrite, but he'll be serving the ban out till October, and deservedly so. It's got to be squeaky clean, the sport, as much as it possibly can be. We're going to go and look ahead to the action this weekend. The Curragh on Saturday, the Oaks, as you said, Tom. 340, sponsored by Juddmonte, 1 mile and 14 runners, good ground, an attractive race. So we have in here lots of horses like Caught You Looking ran in the Epsom Oaks, for example. We've got Ryan Moore riding the horse raid in a brand called Content, third in the Pretty Potty Stakes. A lot of open chances really here. A lot of horses that ran in trials across the water, and it's a difficult one to work out. I mean, I think this is not really a race where you're going to be wading into a favourite, because I think there's a lot of horses with each way chances here. What have you narrowed it down to, Tom?
Yeah, well, John, you love to lay a favourite. I mean, and I mean, for me, Content is a favourite. You'd have to lay all day at around 137-2. I've followed this filly quite closely just because of her pedigree. She's out of the Group 1 sprinter Mecca's Angel. She's by the late great Galileo. I just can't have her as an Oaks favourite, and there's no point in her career where I ever would have had her as an Oaks favourite. So I just think the market here has kind of made a decision based as much on the jockey booking as the horse's form. Yes, obviously she was third in the Group 1 last time out, but I feel like she was third in that Group 1 because the race sort of happened in front of her and she picked up the pieces a little bit. So I think you're dead right. There are lots in here with chances. Wouldn't it be great to see Willie Mullins win an Oaks? I mean, is there anything the man can't do? He's got Lope de Lilas here, James Doyle on board in the Wasnan colours, like one of the biggest sort of interrupters in racing ownership in the last couple of months. Wasnan Racing, they've come in, they've opened up their checkbook, and now they've a flat horse with Willie Mullins. So that's just great to see as well. Of course, his dad won a classic 20 years ago, and well, Willie has technically won a classic as well. The Irish ledger with Wicklow Brave. The horse I actually like here, John, at a big price is Purple Lily, who was fifth in the Irish Guineas last time out. Like, Billy Lee had a very tough decision to make that day. He had to pick between Purple Lily and a Lilac Rolla. I think there's very little between them. He ended up getting it wrong, and a Lilac Rolla finished second. He sticks with Purple Lily here today, goes back in the Oaks. She's 18-1 with William Hill.
Will she stay? Will she stay, Tom?
I think she will. I know what you mean on pedigree. There's a slight question mark, but like the horse, like she was favoured in Navan previously, and you're thinking, oh no, she's beaten by Azalea. Like, look at the way Azalea went and won at Epsom. It's such a shame we don't have her here today. So, if Azalea lines up in this, she's 5 to 6 favourite easily, if not shorter. And, a Purple Lily has run into her, beaten maybe, half a length that day. At 16-1, I think she's an excellent price. Of Aiden's, I really like Port Fairy, by the way. And obviously, Ribblesdale winners have a good record in this race. Wayne Lord, like Ryan Moore got it wrong on Guineas weekend as well with the 2-year-olds when he didn't ride Henri Matisse. I mean, for me, yes, Content is higher rated and has the Group 1 form that I mentioned in the book last time out, but Port Fairy looked great at Ascot. I mean, she's 5-1 versus kind of 130 Content. Of Aiden's two, I'd certainly be with Port Fairy over Content, and I do like a Purple Lily each way. But as you mentioned, there's so many in here. Like, this is a fascinating race. Got a French runner, obviously got UK Raiders as well. It's I'm really looking forward to this race. And like I say, 14 runners, you can have a nice each way bet. Even You Got Me there, like Rafe Beckett, I know she was only beaten 2.5 lengths at Royal Ascot, and she's sort of 16-1 as well. A lot of very good form lines in here. The one thing I will say is I just think, and far be it for me to say Ryan Moore's gotten it wrong, but like, to me, of his choice of rides, I think he has given Port Fairy's run at Royal Ascot.
I'm going to go for a couple of outsiders like you as well, Tom. Hannah Leah won a listed race over 10 furlongs at Naas last time, and I think there's more to come from her. She's out to see the stars. She's unexposed, and she's got each-way claims. I'm kind of going for the unexposed angle with this.
Absolutely. I agree with you completely, John. And winning at Naas as well. 10 furlongs at Naas is a good, stiff track. So that suggests, and she won well that day, didn't she? She really won well that day. She won her maiden well at the Curragh before that. I certainly wouldn't disagree with you on Hannah Leah at all.
About 16-1. And also, this is just a bit of a crazy one, right? But look, if it ever happened, we just play the tape forever. But there's a 100-1 shot. Madame Celeste costs 750 grand as a yearling. Is out of Galileo, is bred for middle distances, has found trouble in running in both of her starts this season. I don't think she's a 100-1 shot. Madame Celeste for Ger Lyons. Gary Carroll riding this one. So that's my trip to, I don't know, Barbados paid for if that wins.
John, absolutely. If you get that up, you can just walk out the place and retire straight away.
Yeah. But on the, I suppose on the top lines, we're looking at probably Purple Lily and Hannah Leah. And you also like Port Fairy of the Aidan O'Brien horses, and a crazy price, 100-1, Madame Celeste. The Barberstown Castle Sapphire Stakes is a Group 2, 5 furlongs, 9 runners at 3:05 Saturday. I'm about believing. I think the favourite actually is a worthy favourite. Ryan Moore rides this one. Won a listed race at Haydock, and then 4th in a Group 1 at Royal Ascot. Perhaps 6 furlongs suits more than 5, but I think this is an easier race. So I think believing is a standing dish to win this one. I fancy this horse.
Yeah, I think you're dead right, John. Look, to be perfectly honest, I don't think the sprinting, the sprinting gallery is not particularly stacked this year. Believing looks a nice horse. Wouldn't put anyone off her. And again, like we've seen so often, particularly at the Curragh this year, there've been plenty of good English runners, and they've gone and taken these kind of prizes. One I do like, and I actually mentioned it at the start of the season as well, I think when we did the Guineas, when I did a Guineas preview with Johnny, was Beautiful Diamond. She wasn't beaten far in the Palace House. She's only 3. She will get a bit of weight from Believing. She's going the right direction. So I think you're right, but maybe we'll go for a forecast or an each-way play. I think Beautiful Diamond for Carl Burke. I just think she's a lovely progressive sort, has Royal Ascot form from last year, has won at this trip. The slight concern for me is maybe the stiffness of the track at the Curragh, and that's probably why Believing has a better chance than Beautiful Diamond. But, Believing's a warm order favourite and Beautiful Diamond's 11-2. So, look, the thing is, I think it'll go to an English trained sprinter, which is rarely a wrong prediction at the Curragh.
The Curragh Cup is at 4:15 on Saturday, Group 2 over 1 mile and 6. Is this race about 2 horses, Tower of London and Vauban for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, Tower, I think this is a really good opportunity for Vauban. It just looked like he didn't quite stay the Gold Cup trip at Royal Ascot, which might be an issue for him going back to Australia. But the one thing that Connections wanted from Ascot was to see him just run his race and just settle and just find the form. Yeah, maybe Tower of London could be a classier horse ultimately, but I think, look, Vauban is just slightly bigger price than Tower of London, and of the pair, I think I prefer Vauban. He's really coming into a season now. He's had those couple of runs, 4th in the Gold Cup. I thought that was a good run. He just didn't quite see it out, and I think Vauban can probably do Tower of London, who's coming back off a little bit of a break.
My bet of the week for the free tear section is Vauban, 7-4. Tom, it might be a different price come post time on Saturday, but yeah, I'd agree with you. I think the horse is still lightly raced, and I don't think the horse stayed. It just seems to me that this is a horse for 14 furlongs, not for 2 miles, and it was obviously a very good hurdle horse. And I just think this is the type of race Vauban should be winning. Tower London disappointed at York in May and has got to overcome that at the price. I can't have it, and Vauban really kind of stood out for me. So I'm going to go with my pick for the free-tear selection as Vauban. Just before we get to yours, also just worth mentioning the David Power Memorial Premier Handicap. Very sad to hear about the passing of David, who was so instrumental in the bookmaking industry in this country, and father of Paddy and Willie, who were involved in the game. And look, our condolences are with them, and it's a very sad time for them. They've got Heavenly Power in this race, so it'd be quite an emotional moment if Heavenly Power did win the Premier Handicap at the Curragh on Saturday, Tom.
That would just be incredible. I think I'd really struggle to hold it together. I was sat in Heavenly Power in the past. He's a lovely horse. And that would just be the most absolutely magic moment for I think we mentioned him last week, but a brilliant man, great family, and wow, that would just be absolutely spectacular. Eddie Lynham and David Power and Sabina, like they own all the horses together. They bred them together. They had such wonderful times, and I don't know if you saw it, but some of the eulogy was printed in the Irish Field, and it's online and on the Irish Field as well. So it's certainly something to go and check out. It's brilliant stuff. Paddy read it out at the memorial. So that would just be absolutely wonderful. We're heavenly powered to take that race.
Well, hopefully he does. What is your selection for the Curragh on Saturday? I'm going for Vauban. Tom, what are you going for?
I'm going to take it on in the sprint, and I'm going to stick with Beautiful Diamond because I think she's a really, really progressive filly. Round about 5-6 to 1 there, and the Barbizon Castle Sapphire Stakes at 3:05.
This is the Racing Pod on Off the Ball. If you're listening to the free version of the podcast, we'll be leaving you here. But if you're looking for more, including our look at Sunday's card at the Curragh, go to offtheball.com/join to subscribe and get the full podcast with all of our racing tips, insights, and stories from the week's action.